We should be live now.
Okay, Jackson, anytime you're ready, we are.
Well, let's get this party started. We'll go ahead and call the November 18th, 2020 APC public hearing to order. With that, I'd like to remind everyone, please mute your microphones until it's time to speak or vote. And also, commission members, remember that the ballots are included in the email from Diana Trader sent yesterday, 11/17/20 at roughly 8:40 a.m. With that, Zach, if you would please.
All right, when I call your name, please signify you're here by saying present. Jackson Bogan.
Present.
Larry Leverins. Absent. Rollin Winger.
Present.
Gary Schroeder.
Here.
Jerry Reynolds.
Here.
Greg Jones.
Here.
Jake Gray.
Zach, I'm going to stop you a minute. Caller 3, we've got some, I'm not sure who caller 3 is, but we've got some serious backfeed, or caller 3 is gone. Well, that's not what I had intended, but.
We were trying to get speakers for the audience here in the room. So it's taking us a minute to get this all debugged.
Okay. Sorry, Zach, go ahead.
All good. Jake Gray.
Yes, here.
Oh,
No,
Jake's here.
I'm here.
Thank you. Diana Looper. Okay, I heard
Did you hear
Diana.
Diana?
Yep, I did.
She's sitting next to me.
Vicky Pearl. Vicky Pearl.
Here.
Thank you. Michelle Dennis. Absent. Tom Murtaugh.
Present.
Perry Brown.
Here.
Tracy Brown.
Present.
Carl Griffin.
Present.
Lisa Dullum.
Here.
Kathy Parker.
Here.
Carla Snodgrass.
Here.
We do have a quorum. Looks like we have 15 present, if my math's right. Thank you.
Thank you. Gary, no briefing session, so on to the approval of the minutes.
Okay, one question. I noticed it doesn't say that we're recording the meeting, but maybe that's a change in technology. Just want to make sure that was happening. Anyway,
This conference will now be recorded.
Great catch, Gary. Thank you.
There we go. I move to approve the minutes from October 21st, 2020 meeting as submitted.
I second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? That carries. New business.
I move to hear and approve resolution 2020-05.
I second.
Sally, this one's to you.
Yes, I'll start. Maybe John could scroll down to that staff report. So the first thing, back one slide on your screen, is the map of all the economic development and TIF districts in the city of Lafayette. So the one we're looking at tonight is the one that's in blue and has the darker blue hash lines through it. That is the McCarty Economic Development Area, which is also a part of the McCarty Lane Southeast Industrial Expansion Development Area. So it is a joint EDA TIF between Lafayette and the county. In the next slide, what you'll see is the exact same project that we looked at last month, but and added it to the Creasy Central Consolidated TIF. And it is for the new 65,000 square foot police station for the city of Lafayette. It will also, to refresh your memory, include a parking garage with between 500 and 600 spaces, 150 of those will be secured for the police department parking, and the rest will be for city employees and the public. The request tonight is exactly the same as it was a month ago. The only difference is that this project is being added to a second economic development plan and TIF. The purpose of doing that is so that the proceeds from two different TIF districts can help pay for this $45 million project. So for purposes of the Plan Commission, which is that you are determining that this project is in compliance with a comprehensive plan, you made that determination last month for one TIF district. That hasn't changed for this second TIF district. We believe that the project, again, is in compliance with the comprehensive plan, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you for that clarification, Sally. Any questions from the commission members? Hearing none, I am going to, it's not calculator, it's timer. And here we go. We're pausing for a minute for citizens' comments. And Sally, anybody in the room wanting to speak?
Not to this case.
Thank you. While we're waiting, don't forget to go to your ballot, resolution 2020-08. Zach, if you would, please. Or excuse me, Ryan, do we have any comments?
We do not.
Thank you. Zach, if you would.
All right, when I call your name, please signify your vote with approve or deny. Jackson Bogan,
Approve.
Larry Leverins, absent. Roland Winger,
Approve.
Jerry Schroeder,
Approve.
Jerry Reynolds,
Approved.
Greg Jones,
Approve.
Jake Gray,
Approve.
Diana Looper,
Approve.
Vicky Pearl,
Approved.
Michelle Dennis, absent. Tom Murtaugh,
Approve.
Barry Brown,
Approve.
Tracy Brown,
Approve.
Carl Griffin,
Approve.
Lisa Dellum,
Approve.
Kathy Parker,
Approve.
Carla Snodgrass.
Approve.
All right, resolution 2020-08 is approved, 15 votes in favor. You do have a written ballot for those, so please get that to Don, and Don will let us know when he receives them. Thank you.
We have 15 responses for the resolution, all for approval.
Thanks, Don. And now the part everybody has been anxiously awaiting, the public hearing, where I will get to read a statement, which everyone loves. For those of you unfamiliar with our procedures, the commission would like you to know the following. When we request to subdivide the land, we are only concerned as to whether the actual drawing showing the division into lots meets the technical requirements of the ordinance. The question of appropriateness has already been determined. Anyone wishing to make comments and provide us with the information regarding any subdivision petitions will be given the opportunity to do so. When we are hearing a request for a change in zoning, we are trying to determine if the new zone being requested and the uses allowed in that zone are appropriate to that property and supported by the comprehensive plan. With each case being heard, our staff will present its report. Then the person requesting the rezone will be given the opportunity to speak. Following that, those of you wishing to speak in favor of the rezone will be recognized, and then those of you wishing to oppose it will have a turn. This will be your only time to speak. The person requesting the action will be allowed a rebuttal. Plan commission members will then ask questions and finally vote. Please limit your statements to no more than 5 minutes. We ask that you not repeat what others before you have already said. We are a 17-member body, and the majority of 17 is 9, regardless of how many commissioners are actually present. At least 9 votes in favor or 9 votes against are required for our action to be official. If fewer than 9 of us agree to either approve or disapprove an action, that case must be heard again next month. Our vote on a request to subdivide is final. Our vote on a request to rezone serves as a recommendation to the appropriate city council, town council, or county commissioners, who must ultimately decide on changes in zoning. When addressing the commission, please state your name and address for the record. Cell phones must be turned off during the meeting. If you need to make a call, please step out of the room before using your phone. All exhibits presented to the commission become the property of the commission. Gary?
I move that there be incorporated into the public hearing portion of each application to be heard this evening and to become part of such evidence to become part of the evidence at such hearing, the unified zoning ordinance, the unified subdivision ordinance, the comprehensive plan, the bylaws of the Area Plan Commission, the application and all documents filed therewith, the staff report and recommendations on the applications to be heard this evening, and responses from checkpoint agencies.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? That carries. On to subdivision.
I move to hear and vote on S 4950, Bridge Creek Ridge subdivision minor sketch.
I second.
John?
Okay. Bridge Creek is a 4-lot minor being proposed by Greg Suter, the owner, represented by R.W. Gross and Associates. It's 14 acres, kind of large for a 4-lot minor. We're located on the south side of Old State Road 25 and north of County Road 800 North, about a quarter mile east of where those two roads come together. We're located northeast of Maracus. To give it a little better description. The property is all zoned agriculture, as you can see on the location zoning map. And there is some R1 zoning to the southwest, which is the Ben Liddell subdivision. There's the Wabash River to the northwest and the floodplain associated with it. There is an existing house, a few outlots or outbuildings located on a proposed lot 1. Lot 4 is actually the largest lot. If you go to the, there we go. You can see it's about 10 acres, but it's 9.6. There's a little bit of encumbrance on the property. There's a overhead electrical line that essentially creates the line between lots 2 and 3, and also crosses over lot 1. There's an existing water line easement also that cuts across those lots that goes to an off-site water well. Topography, it's fairly steep. You can see from the topo, pretty much all wooded property. State Road 25 is classified as a rural secondary arterial. The 40-foot half-width right-of-way is shown for dedication eventually on the final plat. Lots 3 and 4 are flag lots, and they have their 20-foot extensions to the old State Road 25. That will also be created. They'll create an ingress-egress easement that will be used for a private drive for all the lots. County Highway is not recommending no vehicular access, so that's not going to be required. They've already submitted their mortgage affidavit for dedication of right-of-way, so that will also not be a necessary condition. County surveyor, drainage board will either those two bodies will need to approve these minor subdivision lots on a case-by-case basis. We do have a letter from the county health department that states that lots 2, 3, and 4 can be considered for septic system. Lot 1 has an existing house on it with a septic system and also is connected to that off-site water well. There are some changes that need to be shown for the final plat for setbacks. the 100 all lots in an ag zone require 100-foot lot width. The setback for lot 1 will have to be pushed back a little bit to get that, since lot width is measured at the front setback. A rear setback for lot 2 needs to be flipped with its east property line. It's actually opposite of lot 1. Have to be pushed back a little bit to get that, since lot. For some reason, I'm getting feedback. I don't know what that was. At any rate, staff does recommend conditional primary approval based on 5 standard conditions.
Thank you, Don. Petitioners, I believe Mr. Gross, we should make a comment, presentation.
Good evening, Bob Gross from R.W. Gross and Associates, 420 Columbia Street. Yeah, Don gave us a very thorough report there. We're looking for minor subdivision approval. And I'm here for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gross. Do we have any questions from the commission members? We will have anyone in the audience there, Sally, wishing to speak on this?
Yes, I believe so. It'll be Kay Miller.
Okay.
Wait just a second.
Let us know when you're ready.
Okay.
All right. Should be good.
Okay, Kay Miller, 8143 Old State Road 25 North, Lafayette, Indiana, and it's right next to this property. So I just had some questions. Are they planning on all 4 lots to use one well?
I don't believe so, but I couldn't answer that question based on the staff report that Kathy wrote. It's not really addressed.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, Sally, is that a question before this commission tonight?
Not really. What I would probably recommend is that the Millers talk with the health department about what's planned. If there are more lots using either the existing well or another well where multiple lots, then the plat might require an easement to that well, so everybody who has use of it has an easement.
There is actually there is an easement that covers that line to the well, but I don't know who's in favor of it. I don't know if it's just for lot 1 or for everyone.
That might be something we want to ask Mr. Gross.
I don't know if the rest of the lots are planning to use that well. Typically, these lots would all have individual wells. The problem with more than 1 or 2 people on the same well is the restrictions from the health department make it or the state health department make it very difficult to do that. But I am not certain what the plan is for that.
So unfortunately, Ms. Miller, I don't believe we can answer your question tonight.
Okay, well, then I'll try another one. Since our well does, or not our well, since our property does join this, and it is a ravine, how is drainage handled? We don't want it to restrict the drainage going through our property.
So would this still have to go through the drainage process?
Yes, it will on a case-by-case basis, as I stated.
So Ms. Miller, that will have to go after this would be approved. Another step is to go to the drainage boards where you would be able to raise your concerns for that at that point in time, and it would be vetted by them as well.
Okay. The other one, I think Sally already answered for me. It was just about the line fence, because there's a property line fence that goes right on the property line, but then there's also a privacy fence that's been put up, not on our side, but the other side. Do you know if the ruling still applies that as you look at the fence, the property owner is responsible for the half on the right-hand side as they look at it? I think Sally said that was for a different.
Well, the line fence rule for agricultural fences has always been, as Mrs. Miller discussed it, which is the two property owners face the fence on their side, and one side takes care of the right half and the other side takes care of the left half. I don't know if that's still in the statute, if Zach knows that, the answer to that.
It may be, Sally. I haven't looked at that in a long time. I think that was the old common law rule as well as statutory, but that's something that the board really has no control over what they're hearing tonight. That's outside of what we're voting on.
Okay, those were just some things that I wondered about. Is there any type of housing that's approved or not approved for that area?
Single family only, I believe.
So are mobile homes acceptable?
It is zoned agriculture, so that does include
be.
a mobile home, yes.
Okay, we were just wondering what the proposed housing might be.
Well, they're not required to submit that type of plan. We're just reviewing it to make sure that each lot is actually buildable.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Anyone else wishing to speak there, Sally?
Not on this case, thank you.
We'll pause for 1 minute and wait for other citizens' comments.
Jackson, this is Larry Leverins. Just to let you know that I joined late, and I apologize for that. My computer decided it didn't want to act up right.
No worries and welcome. I always feel like this minute is that minute when you're working out and you're looking at the clock and it feels like it takes longer than a minute. Just my 2 cents. Things to ponder while we wait.
So do I. You're waiting for the egg to boil, right?
Yeah, pontificate on that. Ryan, have we heard anything?
We have no comments.
Okay, then we will go ahead and have the vote. Zach?
All right, when I call your name, can approve or deny on S4950. Jackson Bogan.
Approve.
Larry Leverins.
Approve.
Roland Winger.
Approve.
Gary Schroeder.
Approve.
Jared Reynolds.
Approved.
Greg Jones.
Approve.
Jake Gray.
Approve.
Diana Looper.
Approve.
Thank you. Vicky Pearl.
Approved.
Michelle Dennis, absent. Tom Murtaugh.
Approve.
Carrie Brown.
Approve.
Tracy Brown.
Approve.
Carl Griffin.
Approved.
Lisa Dunham.
Approve.
Kathy Parker.
Approve.
Carla Snodgrass. 16 votes in favor of approval. Please get your written ballots to Don.
Thank you very much.
We have 16 responses for conditional primary approval.
Thank you, sir. S4957.
I move to hear and vote on S4957, Discovery Park District Subdivision Phase 2, major preliminary, and it appears that also includes a variance.
I second.
Don?
Okay, Discovery Park District subdivision. We're used to this all being planned development, but this is a street block proposal, sort of in the middle. It's south of State Street on the south side of the Discovery Boulevard. On the eastern or western boundary is Airport Road. On the east side is the campus, Purdue campus. Our location zoning map doesn't quite show the correct zoning. This land, along with a large area, almost 100 acres, was rezoned to multiple categories to CBW in concert with the overlay district that has been is actually going through the amendment process in our unified zoning ordinance. So it's all zone CBW. And to the east, actually, we've got the Purdue campus, which is technically zoned A, but not actually bound by any of our zoning rules. The existing Discovery Park planned developments are bordering on the north and the west. Campuses to the east. And to the west is some of the Providence, I believe, Discovery Park under development. Purpose of the application is to create a street grid. As you can see, there's large blocks proposed. The street layout will extend existing streets to the south to a new extension of Harrison that will actually eliminate the Nimitz Street that's in the middle there. There are the highlighted areas in the intersections. This shows where the variance is requested to permit a slightly narrowing of the street sections there. There's a pretty unique design that will include landscaping and rain gardens and bicycle and parking. All within an enlarged right-of-way and it goes from anywhere from about 80 to 70 feet. So the right-of-way being proposed is well within our standard 50 feet for urban local road, but they are requesting variance to permit this narrowing of the streets in these different locations down to 27 feet. The standard straight right-of-way or pavement width would be 34 feet back to back. So that's really the most significant thing about it. We do have that variance was heard by the West Lafayette Board of Public Works on November 3rd, and they did recommend approval of that variance. The area will be served by city sanitary sewer. They'll come from Airport Road. Water main is located to the north and will be extended into the project as it develops. There's a underground stormwater detention, regional detention storage basin in outlot 1. You can see on the east side there. That's where all this development will be draining its stormwater. Because this is all within the new Discovery Park District form-based overlay area, this land will have a variety of different choices in terms of complying with the zoning ordinance. They have permitted or requested permission to bond for these public improvements, and staff does recommend conditional primary approval based on approving the variance as well as several standard conditions.
Thank you very much. Petitioner's representative wishing to speak. If someone's speaking, we cannot hear you.
Oh, Cameron.
I see Mr. Seymour.
He's calling in.
Certainly.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hello. My name is Cameron Seymour with Schneider Geomatics, representing the petitioner, Purdue Research Foundation. Our team agrees with the staff's recommendation, all the conditions. I'm here to answer any questions that the commission might have to the best of my abilities, and we request your approval for the subdivision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Seymour. Any questions from the commission on this? Sally, anyone there wishing to speak on this?
Not in this case.
We will start the timer 1 minute now. Zach, do we have to take separate roll calls for each of these votes?
We are going to do two. We're going to do one for the variance, and then we're going to do one for the subdivision itself and the bonding.
Okay.
And you'll have two ballots on this as well.
Thank you. Okay. Any comments, Ryan?
No comment on this item.
Zach, to you.
All right, variance going first here. So when I call your name, please signify your vote. Jackson Bogan.
Approve.
Larry Leverins. Larry, you're on mute. Sorry.
Approve.
Thank you. Roland Winger.
Approve.
Gary Schroeder.
Approve.
Jerry Reynolds.
Approved.
Greg Jones.
Approve.
Jake Gray.
Approve.
Diana Looper.
Approve.
Vicky Pearl.
Approve.
Michelle Dennis, absent. Tom Murtaugh.
Approve.
Harry Brown.
Approve.
Tracy Brown.
Approve.
Carl Griffin.
Approve.
Lisa Dellum.
Approve.
Kathy Parker.
Approve.
Carla Snodgrass.
Approve.
16 votes in favor of the variance. We're going to do one more vote on the subdivision, and that will include the bonding. Jackson Bogan.
Approve.
Larry Leverins.
Approve.
Roland Winger.
Approve.
Gary Schroeder.
Approve.
Jerry Reynolds.
Approved.
Greg Jones.
Approve.
Jake Gray.
Approve.
Diana Looper.
Approve.
Vicky Pearl.
Approved.
Michelle Dennis, absent. Tom Murtaugh.
Approve.
Harry Brown.
Approve.
Tracy Brown.
Approve.
Carl Griffin.
Approve.
Lisa Dellum.
Approve.
Kathy Parker.
Approve.
Carla Snodgrass.
Approve.
16 votes in favor, and you do have two ballots on this one. Please get those to Don. Thank you.
We have 16 responses for approval of the variance, and we're almost there for the subdivision ballot. We have 16 responses for conditional primary approval and also to permit bonding.
Thank you. Rezoning activities, Z2807.
I move to hear and approve with commitment Z2807 Jet Boy LLC, GB to I3.
I second.
Ryan.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got this Lafayette site here off of Elston Road, the north side of Elston Road. As you can see from the zoning map here, we've got multifamily zoning to the west, industrial zoning to the north. The current site, of course, is zoned general business, and we have general business to the west, as well as R1 area as well. As you can see, this part of Lafayette, there's quite a variety of zoning districts all kind of crammed together. The uses are equally diverse. A lot of multi-family apartments, including the new one to the west, single-family homes, many of which have been there a long time, a cemetery to the north, and then some undeveloped land as well. Current site is utilized by Express Air Coach to store their vehicles, as you can see there in the photo. They don't take up a particularly large portion of the lot, as you can see. But the proposal for this site is to not only continue to use the site for what they're using it for presently, but also to allow for the outdoor storage of boats and recreational vehicles. So as you can see here on their non-binding site plan, they show the uses together. This is conceptual. But they show a gate, driveway entrance. The area would be fenced off. Obviously, the big, large storage lot, and then a proposed placeholder for stormwater management to the north. Because of the adjacent zoning, as you saw on the earlier map, buffer yards would only be required on the east and west sides, and so they're sort of showing those placeholders there. 30-foot for the R1 for the residential abutments, and then a type A buffer yard, 20-foot along that commercial boundary with the GB. Because the cemetery to the north is zoned heavy industrial as well, there is actually no buffer yard required, since they would both be identical zones, despite the fact that the use is obviously not industrial to the north, but there it is. A commitment's been filed. Obviously, the I3 zone is an extremely intense industrial zone, allows all sorts of things. This commitment restricts them essentially to the two uses they want, being able to store their express coach vehicles, as well as this added use of boats and RVs, etc. So this very strict commitment will limit them to those two uses. The report mentions this briefly about the reason for the I3 zone as opposed to GB. GB does allow outdoor storage, but only up to sites up to 2 acres. So that limitation's removed with the I3 zone. So that's why they went about this way, since this site is larger than the limitation permitted in GB. So in terms of the use, given the fact that the commitment's in place, staff really has no problem with this. This would be a very restricted site to these two uses. So this, between the commitment and the zoning district they've chosen, this is an appropriate balance, I think, in order to, give to the neighborhood some really strict assurances about what's coming and what, more importantly, is not coming onto this site. So we do recommend approval with the commitment. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ryan. Petitioner, I think I see Tyler on here, wishing to speak.
Yep. Yeah. Good evening to the commission. Tyler Oaks, Paul Eggleston, 201 Main Street, on behalf of petitioner Jetboy LLC and its registered agent, which is Dan Gillis. Kind of just going off of what Ryan said, we wanted to do whatever we could to get immediate use out of this property. I think long term, depending on how the neighboring area goes and what happens in that part of Lafayette, we wanted to leave some flexibility so it could be developed and go back GB long term if if it calls for that, but we wanted to get some usage in the interim. Figured it could help, produce some taxes for the city, and get some usage as well. We had an appraisal company come in and look at what would be the best use for the property, and they had suggested, based on their analysis, to do a self-storage. And I know Lafayette has plenty of trailer and semis stored around, so we wanted to focus, and our market is going to be boats and recreational vehicles, like Ryan said. And we're certainly aware of how everything under the sun is permitted in an I-3. So we wanted to make sure, by working with the APC, we got it as restrictive as possible to make sure that we have that ability to generate something now, but leave flexibility long term. I'm happy to answer any questions on this.
Thank you very much, Tyler. Are there any questions from the commission members?
Yes, Jerry Reynolds here. As I have talked to many people around there and got several feedbacks, I welcome the fact that they've kind of limited this, but we can't look down the line. We feel that, or I feel, and some of the people in the area feel, that they're operating their business successfully. And they really, when you're talking about motorhomes and boats, not inside, setting out, being weathered, we just kind of still have some, we're just not sure that that's what they want in that area. I don't know if they'd heard from a cemetery. I had heard at one time the cemetery wasn't really interested in doing that same type of thing. And like he mentioned, we have so much outside storage in this area. We watch this very closely. And I know this has to come to the city council also, but as far as me representing the councilman, just myself, is I just don't think that it should not be zoned this. I think with what they're operating right now, GB in the area, I think is fine, but it's just me personally.
Any other questions or comments from commission members? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this?
Jackson, there's a gentleman in the audience who would like to speak, I believe.
Wonderful.
We're getting the computer set up for him.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
David Rubman. I do manage the cemetery property, 2122 Old Romney Road, just to the north. I know very little bit about this, but I do understand with the commitment that's connected to it that it would be very restrictive. So I appreciate what Mr. Reynolds has said about maybe not the right thing. If I had to pick the lesser of two poisons or potential poisons, this one's not so bad. It seems I stood here 3 years ago, and we all know what's directly to the west. And so I have to say, I believe I support this from the simple standpoint of the commitment that's connected to it. As Ryan, Mr. O'Gara summarized shortly, it's not so much about what's coming, but we know now what is not coming. And that's the only comment I have. I really don't have strong feelings, but I wouldn't be disappointed if it did pass. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Mr. Redmond. Anyone else wishing to speak? Any other questions from the commission members? Rebuttal, Tyler?
Yeah, thanks, Jackson. Just briefly, I certainly can appreciate Mr. Reynolds' comments, and we're sensitive to the sentiment in the area. But ultimately, like we've said, it's in the back part of the lot. We're doing what we think is best immediate use that allows for that long-term flexibility, that if the lot needs to change and grow with the community and there's a need for general business down the road, we have the flexibility to do that. That's why we made it as restrictive as we did, so it's not to be unsightly or to offend anybody in the area, but do this in the most efficient, immediate way possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing nothing more, we will wait for that minute for citizens' comments.
Okay, standing by.
Okay, Ryan.
No further comment on this item.
All right, Zach, would you please?
Yep, 2 votes on this one and 2 ballots. The first one is just to permit and allow the commitment restricting all these uses. So when I call your name, first vote on this commitment. Jackson Bogan.
Approve.
Larry Leverins.
Approve.
Roland Winger.
Approve.
Gary Schroeder.
Approve.
Jerry Reynolds.
Deny.
Greg Jones.
Approve.
Jake Gray.
Approve.
Diana Looper.
Approve.
Vicky Pearl.
Approve.
Michelle Dennis absent. Tom Murtaugh.
Approve.
Harry Brown.
Deny.
Tracy Brown.
Approve.
Carl Griffin.
Approve.
Lisa Dellum.
Approve.
Kathy Parker.
Approve.
Carla Snodgrass.
Approve.
All right, 14 votes in favor of allowing the commitment, 2 against. So the commitment will be allowed. Now we're going to vote on the actual rezone. Jackson Bogan.
Approve.
Larry Leverins.
Approve. Whoops.
Roland Winger.
Approve.
Gary Schroeder.
Approve.
Jerry Reynolds.
Deny.
Greg Jones.
Approve.
Jake Gray.
Approve.
Diana Looper.
Diana was an approve.
Thank you. Vicky Pearl.
Approve.
Michelle Dennis. Absent. Tom Murtaugh.
Approve.
Harry Brown.
Deny.
Tracy Brown.
Approve.
Carl Griffin.
Approve.
Lisa Dellum.
Approve.
Kathy Parker.
Approve.
Carla Snodgrass.
Approve.
14 votes in favor, 2 votes against. Please get your ballots to Don. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Responses for the commitment to be permitted are 14 approve and 2 deny. And we're almost there for the rezone.
We're good, Don?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
We got a couple people left.
Don, do you know who's remaining? Let's go ahead and embarrass
Yeah,
people. Hopefully it's
I'm
not
trying,
me.
I'm trying to figure it out here.
It very well could be me.
And we got 15 responses. We're almost there. Best I can tell, I've got 15 responses, 14 for approval, 1 for denial.
Okay. So let's go ahead and maybe you can send a private chat to whoever that is after we figure out who it is, but we'll move on to Z2808.
Yeah, I'll leave the ballots open.
Thank you. Z2808.
I move to hear and approve Z 2808, Stephen McIntyre, NB to R1.
I second.
Ryan?
Okay, well, we're moving to the town of Stockwell. As you can see here, we've got, in terms of the zoning map, we have R1 zoning to the north, plenty of select agricultural, the AA zone to the south, and then we have our lone NB zone site. Zoning history for this site kind of went from A to AA to NB in 2014. That was the NB rezone, and that was done to establish a funeral home use. We don't have any town limits here because Stockwell is unincorporated. However, it does now have sanitary sewer, which is very notable, a fact which is prompting APC to look into working with the community there to establish a formal town plan. That's just a little aside, but future attractions coming there. In order to more formalize development for this town, as now that sanitary sewer is available. In any event, once the sewer came, of course, there have been numerous rezones in the town, and they're detailed in the report. I won't go into them here. The site itself, because it is served by sewer, and the proposed use is to return it to a residential state, there's really no problem with this particular rezone, and staff is recommending approval. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ryan. Petitioner's representative.
Petitioners here, Steve McIntyre, 9930 US Highway 231 South. I've discussed this with each of the adjoining neighbors, and they were all delighted to hear of the possible change.
Outstanding. Thank you for your comments. Any questions from the commission members? Sally, anyone there wishing to speak on this?
The room's now empty, so there, unless somebody new comes in, there won't be any more speaking from the room.
Thank you. With it, we'll give that 1 minute pause.
Okay, standing by.
Do we have anything, Ryan?
No comment on this item.
Zach?
All right, when I call your name, please signify your vote. Jackson Bogan.
Approve.
Larry Leverins.
Approve.
Roland Winger.
Approve.
Gary Schroeder.
Approve.
Jerry Reynolds.
Approved.
Greg Jones.
Approve.
Jake Gray.
Approve.
Anna Looper.
Approve.
Vicky Pearl.
Approved.
Michelle Dennis absent. Tom Murtaugh.
Approve.
Perry Brown.
Approved.
Tracy Brown.
Approved.
Carl Griffin.
Approve.
Lisa Dullum.
Approve.
Kathy Parker.
Approve.
Carla Snodgrass.
Approve.
16 votes in favor. Please get your ballots to Dawn. Thank you.
Well, we have 15 responses, all for approval. I'll leave the ballots open for the straggler.
Thank you very much. We'll move on. Z2810 Thayer's Enterprise, Inc.
I move to hear and approve Z 2810 Thayer's Enterprise Incorporated R1U to GB.
I second.
Okay. This particular rezone is for 4 platted lots on the north end of Lafayette, between 16th and 18th Street on the south side of Schuyler. Here on the zoning map, you can see Colfax Street stub ends to the western end of this property. There are 4 lots in this request with 3 homes. If I zoom into the aerial, you can see here the homeowners for these 3 lots have consented, as well as this owner, which is petitioner Thayer's. The intent is to expand the business. From what I understand, this portion of Colfax Street is going to be vacated with the city's blessing to allow more of a rectangular usable site for Thayer's exteriors. This property is part of the St. Lawrence McAllister neighborhood. I'm going to read just a couple lines from the staff report. The plan specifically addressed the commercial corridor of Schuyler Avenue, stating, preserve the commercial area lining US 52 and Schuyler Avenue. While the neighborhood welcomes new jobs, which can increase the tax base, businesses should not be permitted to intrude into the existing residential areas. Neighborhood support for any future commercial rezoning will be determined on a case-by-case basis. This request does represent a little bit of a commercial expansion into the neighborhood, but the lots in question are at the stub end of Colfax Street. Let me go back to the aerial here. And they're located next to the longstanding businesses in the neighborhood, the bowling alley being due west. Rezoning these properties to GB would not only allow the existing business to remain in the area, but an expansion would also create a zoning boundary of commercial and residential zoning at a platted alley rather than at a street intersection. So the platted alley that runs along the east side of this request has residential zoning on the east and commercial zoning on the west. Staff thinks that straightening out this line would accomplish both what the petitioner is seeking to do and the goal set forth in the plan of the St. Lawrence McAllister neighborhood. So staff is recommending approval.
Thanks, John. Petitioner's representative?
Yes, thanks, John. Good evening. Dan Teeter, attorney for Riley, Teeter and Schreier, represent the petitioner. Petitioner's present, would respond to any comments or questions. As staff's indicated, we're requesting rezoning to GB for this site. Also, staff's indicated we have GB zone to the north and west and R3 to the south, and that alley is all along the lots on the eastern side of our of the 4 lots in questions. Petitioner located their business on Schuyler in 2005 and renovated that existing building at that time. At that time, they were also just in the painting business, and since then they've expanded into roofing and siding and gutter work. I think you see their commercials on TV. They've been very successful in the greater Lafayette area. They've outgrown, obviously, their existing building and are requesting this rezone for expansion of their business in order to remain in this area. They really want to stay in this area. The lot to the east is fenced in storage that they're using at this time. There's no house on that lot. The buildings on the lot south of Colfax will be raised. One of those is at the southern portion is an old dilapidated building. The one on the western side is being used at this time, but both of those will be raised. They'll have additional parking on the site, and they'll put a building there for more warehouse and storage as well for their business. They've indicated that they have 18 employees at the site. As this rezoning expansion goes through, they're going to add 4 to 5 more employees in the next year. And as a result, we think it's a great addition to the neighborhood. We would respectfully request your approval, your recommendation, excuse me. We concur with staff's report as well. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Teeter. Any questions from the commission members? Hearing none, we will wait that 1 minute for citizens' comments.
Jackson, did you get that?
Yeah, the timer?
I'm sorry, I had something to add. I think I was on mute. This is Jake Gray.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say I'm the plant manager at the Kirby Risk Precision Machining right across the street from Thayer's, and I totally agree with everything that Mr. Teeter said. I think increasing potential employment in this area is huge, and Thayer's is a very good neighbor. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gray.
Thank you.
And we have no further public comment on this item, Jackson.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll go ahead, Zach, for the vote.
When I call your name, please signify your vote. Jackson Bogan.
Approved.
Larry Leverins.
Approved.
Ron Winger.
Approved.
Gary Schroeder.
Approve.
Jerry Reynolds,
Approved.
Greg Jones,
Approve.
Jay Cray,
Approve.
Diana Luber,
Approve.
Vicky Pearl,
Approved.
Michelle Dennis absent, Tom Murtaugh,
Approved.
Barry Brown,
Approve.
Tracy Brown,
Approve.
Carl Griffin,
Approve.
Lisa Dullum,
Approved.
Kathy Parker,
Approved.
Carla Snodgrass.
Approved.
16 votes in favor. Please get your ballots to Don. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 16 responses, all for approval.
Thank you very much. Z2811.
I move to hear and approve Z 2811, Antique Candle Works Incorporated, GB to I2.
I second.
Don?
Okay, so moving directly west of the last case, this site, shown here in yellow, is known as Lot 1 of Star Lane subdivision. As we all know recently, Star Lanes is closed. The petitioner in this case is the owner of the property due west of the property shown here, zoned I2, Antique Candle Works. If some of you remember earlier this year, we had a rezone for that property to I2, and this rezone in front of us represents an expansion of that business. Let's see. So, this area has long been known as the commercial corridor on the north end of town. Staff can support this request for a few reasons. The change from GB to I2 is somewhat of a lateral move. It still respects the plan in that it keeps jobs and businesses in the area, but we feel that the I2 may provide a little bit more protection to some of the surrounding owners because it only permits loading and unloading outside. There could be no storage of materials in the I2 zone. Currently, the GB zoning would allow for a use or user to have outdoor storage that could potentially negatively impact some of the surrounding residences. So staff is supporting this rezone to I2.
Thank you. Petitioner?
Yes, again, thank you, John. Dan Teeter for the record, represent the petitioner. Petitioner will respond to any questions. As staff's indicated, we're requesting a rezone to I2 for this site. Petitioner's in the process of renovating the building to the west, and when they were doing that, as they've started recently, they've already determined they don't have enough space there and need to expand. The bowling alley site, in their opinion, is perfect for this expansion, and they're going to use the proposed site for storage of raw materials, finished goods. Shipping will also occur from this building to locations throughout the United States and Canada. The shipping team will be between 10 and 15 people will be employed for that. The building to the west is going to house the management team and will also be used for storage of what they call their fragrance oils or fragrance oils. As staff stated, the difference between GB and I2 is negligible. However, for our business, it's extremely important that we have this outside loading for the site. Without that, we couldn't proceed. So we desperately need the I2. We think it fits into the area, as staff's indicated, with the building to the west as well. We concur with staff's report, staff's recommendation. We would ask for your favorable recommendation as well. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Teeter. Any questions from the commission members? Hearing none, we'll give that minute.
Okay, standing by.
Ryan?
No further comment.
All right, Zach, would you please?
When I call your name, please signify your vote. Jackson Bogan.
Approved.
Larry Leverance.
Approved.
Roland Winger.
Approved.
Gary Schroeder.
Approve.
Jerry Reynolds.
Approve.
Rick Jones.
Approved.
Jake Gray.
Approved.
Diana Looper.
Approved.
Vicky Pearl.
Approved.
Michelle Dennis absent. Tom Murtaugh.
Approved.
Harry Brown.
Approved.
Tracy Brown.
Approved.
Carl Griffin.
Approve.
Lisa Dellum.
Approved.
Kathy Parker.
Approved.
Carla Snodgrass. 16 votes in favor. Please get your ballots to Don.
Thank you.
We have 16 responses, all for approval.
Thank you. Z2812.
I move to hear and approve Z 2812, Madco of Lafayette 1 Incorporated, R1B to NB.
I second.
Ryan?
Okay. All right. So we have a property with some history here. As you can see from the zoning map, we have a lot of R1B zoning throughout this neighborhood, and then we have a large tract of NB and I3 off to the north east. The proposal at hand is for essentially an expansion of the seating area for the Mad Mushroom restaurant. According to the assessor records, a commercial building has been on this site since the 1940s and has been used as a restaurant at least since the 1980s. So there's some history to this, despite the residential zoning. Even Lafayette zoning maps from ages past show residential zoning here. So it's been a non-conforming use situation for a long time, but lawfully non-conforming. So the petitioner wants, because of the expansion that's triggering a conflict with that non-conforming status, any expansion of an existing use that's grandfathered requires conformity with the ordinance. So this change from R1B to NB is essentially just to legitimize the existing use. In this case, eating, drinking establishment that has been around, and the use itself has been around for a long time. So the building itself is non-complying to the zone, but again, it's also grandfathered. So that will not be an issue. So staff does support the rezone request to legitimize the permitted use and to allow its modest expansion. And so we'd be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, we recommend approval.
Thank you, Ryan. Petitioner's representative.
Hi, Commission. Tyler Oaks, Paul Eggleston, 201 Main Street, on behalf of petitioner Madco. This is a conditional purchase of this building that is based on this rezone. Essentially, what my client's wanting to do is, because, I mean, this is a better late than never if you've never heard of it, because of how long it's been there, as Ryan said, since early 1900s. It's been like this. So they want to renovate the building because it is so old, and to do so need to get it rezoned to a conforming use. So it's been like this for so long. I would ask the commission's approval so that we can move forward, and there is NB to the east, so it conforms with that as well. I'm happy to answer any question, and David Sommers is here as well, who is representative of Madco as well.
Thank you, Mr. Oaks. Any questions from the commission members?
Yeah, Jerry Reynolds here. I just got one question. To the west, which used to be for many years Dr. Coney's office, Lafayette physician, does it look like that goes through that garage, or do they own that property too?
I'll be honest with you. I'm not familiar with that. I know on what we're looking at, it kind of looks like it does. So I don't have a great answer for you on that one. I apologize, but I don't know if the line just overlaps into that lot or not.
Okay. Well, I knew that was, I don't know what was a neighborhood business, but I know that was his doctor's office for many, many years. And so I didn't know whether, or you owned that property also.
I think the resolution of the photograph is maybe playing tricks with us here.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, we will wait for that minute.
Okay, standing by.
Ryan?
No further comment.
Okay, would you please, Zach?
All right, when I call your name, please signify your vote. Jackson Bogan.
Approve.
Larry Leverins.
Approve.
Ron Winger.
Approve.
Gary Schroeder.
Approve.
Jerry Reynolds.
Approve.
Greg Jones.
Approve.
Jake Gray.
Approve.
Diana Looper.
Approve.
Vicky Pearl.
Approve.
Michelle Dennis absent. Tom Murtaugh.
Approve.
Perry Brown.
Approve.
Tracy Brown.
Approve.
Carl Griffin.
Approve.
Lisa Dillon.
Approve.
Kathy Parker.
Approve.
Carla Snodgrass.
Approve.
16 votes in favor. One last ballot to Don. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Did you ever get those last two ballots done?
We have 16 responses, all for approval.
Thank you very much. No administrative matters. On to the approval of the December Executive Committee agenda.
I move that the following requests for subdivisions be placed on the December 2nd, 2020 Area Plan Commission Executive Committee agenda at petitioner's request. Placement thereon being without reference to compliance or non-compliance with the adopted subdivision ordinance. Those would be S 4958, Moulter 4 subdivision minor sketch, S 4959, Bluffs of Buck Creek subdivision minor sketch, and S 4963, Casabella minor subdivision minor sketch.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? That carries. Approval of the December ABZA.
I move the following petitions be placed on the December 2nd, 2020 Area Board of Zoning Appeals public hearing agenda. BZA 2044, Mezzanine 7 LLC, BZA 2045, Tim Stevens, and BZA 2046, Donald R. Van Dame.
I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Determination of variances.
I move the following requests for variance from the Unified Zoning Ordinance are not requests for use variance prohibited from consideration by ordinance and statute. BZA 2044, Mezzanine 7 LLC, BZA 2045, Tim Stevens, and BZA 2046, Donald R. Van Dam.
I second.
Motion and second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? That carries. Sally, Director's Report.
Yes, the first thing I'd like to talk about just for a minute is the thing that Ryan mentioned, which is we'll begin some neighborhood land use plans based on Lafayette City staff's priorities. We'd like to start with the Wabash Avenue neighborhood. We will need from the city council a resolution to do that work, but working with Dennis Carson, we can work with the city council to get that resolution. Once that neighborhood plan is sort of underway, staff's next priority really would be the town of Stockwell. As many of you will recall, ever since they've had sanitary sewer, we have had a sort of significant number of rezones in the town. And we think that with sanitary sewer, the town would benefit from some planning and the town coming together to take a look at its future. However, before we would start that planning effort, staff would have a conversation with the county commissioners so that we have a agreement that you're on the same page as we are, or just as soon we not take the time to work in Stockwell. But we'll have that conversation as we get a little farther along. And as well as the neighborhood planning efforts, it's time to begin the next round of multi-hazard mitigation planning, which Ryan and Larry will take the lead on. The only other thing to talk about, and I put in the report where Mercer Group has advertised my position. All the heavy hitters in the planning and MPO world have been covered. And if Roland would like to talk about not who, but maybe how many, the extent of the application so far, that might be worthwhile.
Thank you, Sally. Roland?
Yes, thank you, Jackson. And to this commission, alluded to this in meetings prior, but we need to continue to commend Sally for her commitment to this process. She mentioned the heavy hitters, put in her director's report today what organizations we have the position posted with, and they are indeed all of the organizations who are in any way affiliated with planning and transportation planning processes. So the commission just continues to need to appreciate Sally for the effort and the commitment she's made to this process. From earlier this week, I think we'd received 6 applications. The position has only been posted essentially for a week on most of the boards. The firm that we have hired is also networking with a number of their affiliates throughout the country to not just leave this to be a simple job posting, but also speaking to people who have either put their names into other searches nationally or who they know of may be interested in an opportunity such as ours. So things are well. I would say to the commission that we don't yet know the effects of COVID on what the search process, and now that we're rolling into Thanksgiving and the December holidays, we're just waiting here to see how things go. We had intended to do an evaluation on all the applications that we'd received as of today. We're going to extend that a few days. We're going to collect them through Wednesday next and see where we are before start winnowing down the number of applications. So stay tuned. I will provide updates to both you as a commission as well as the executive search committee that we have together, which involves the mayors and commissioners. And I'm happy to also answer any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Roland. Any questions, guys? Else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Sally, was that it for all for your report?
It is. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. And I think all of us want to say, I know Ron mentioned it, but all of us want to say thank you for all of your efforts and hanging with us through these wonderful COVID times and looking out for our community as you always do. So thank you. Citizens' comments, grievances?
There is presently nothing on the board right now.
I think we have to do that minute deal, don't we?
Let's be consistent.
I like your thinking. While we are waiting on this, I would like to say thank you to staff one more time. We've been doing this quite a while. You guys have rocked it, and it appears as though we may be doing this a little bit longer. And so please continue to rock it. We all thank you. So thank you.
We will rock on.
Absolutely.
Like it. All right.
No further comments, sir.
Okay. With that, Gary?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
So moved. All right. Thanks all. Great job.
Good night.
Sorry, guys.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Night.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Happy Thanksgiving.